family. Happy Thursday and welcome to Sergeant Dorsey Speaks live at 5 p.m. on the West Coast, 8 p.m. on the East Coast. Welcome, welcome. And let me just share this in a couple of places. As you guys come on, feel free to share this on your timeline. And I will share this on my other Facebook pages. So give me just a couple of minutes to do this little housekeeping, and then we'll get started with today's Facebook Live at 5. And let me just, while I'm doing all of this, say hello to my subbies because you guys get me after the fact. You don't get me live, but you do get me every Thursday. Um, I will upload my video when I'm done here on Facebook so that you guys on YouTube can see what's going on. You know, I tried to go live. Oh, shoot. I don't even have my mic on. Duh. Can you guys hear me okay? Let me know. I hope you can hear me okay as I continue to get dressed. I tried to go live. Hold on, hold on. What we don't want to do is have a wardrobe malfunction, so I have to kind of take my time as I do this. I okay, hopefully you can hear me now. I did go live not too long ago on YouTube, and it seemed like there was some connectivity issues. I saw a couple of subbies comment that um, either there was pixelated, it froze, it was fuzzy, something happened. So that, family, is why I don't go live on YouTube very often. Randy, can you hear me now? I've got my microphone on now. Hopefully you can hear me. So if you didn't hear me in the beginning, what you missed was, okay, perfect. Thanks for that. Um, who's that? Wyvon? I hate butchering people's names, but thank you. I think I'm saying it right. Wyvon? Thank you for that. Um, yeah, what you missed was not much. I just said welcome and share this on your timeline. Hashtag tell a friend, hold a watch party. You know what I need you to do. Let everybody know that Sergeant Dorsey speaks, right? Because I'm giving out good information. I would imagine you'd agree. Let me greet you properly and remind you guys and introduce myself to hey, Steve, introduce myself to those of you who are new to my YouTube channel, Sergeant Dorsey Speaks. I know a lot of you are, you know, I guess the algorithms are doing what they're supposed to do because I get information from you newbies, new subbies, that, you know, my name just popped up and a couple of you were inquisitive because of my little thumbnails. Whatever gets you to my channel works for me. So I'm a retired LAPD sergeant. 20 years I spent on the LAPD, all in patrol. And I just used my 20 years of patrol experience as a patrol officer and a patrol supervisor, sergeant of police, to talk to you about things that are occurring nationally in the news involving police and what I think the police could have done better, what I think the police did right, because I'm not here to just beat up police and say that they don't always get it right, and also, to be fair, to talk about the things that the community could do different next time, could do better, because we all have a part to play. Remember, the goal is for everybody to go home safe, police and community. And so that's who I am. That's what I do. And you guys already know you can find me on Facebook. You can find me on YouTube, Sergeant Dorsey Speaks. I have a podcast also, Sergeant Dorsey Speaks. You can subscribe on the podcast platform of your choice, wherever it is you go to listen to your podcast. You will find Sergeant Dorsey Speaks there as well. And then, of course, I am new. Well, I'm not really new to Instagram, but I'm newly engaged, if you will, on Instagram. Sergeant SGT, the abbreviation. Sergeant Cheryl Dorsey on Instagram. So I am doing something over there as well. I need folks to come and follow me. Create an account on IG and just like one of my videos over there, you know, just once a week. Just hook a sister up. I don't ask for much, you guys. And listen, it don't cost you nothing, but maybe about 2-3 minutes to come over there, heart, like one of my Instagram videos, follow me, help me with the numbers, because for the old folks, everybody north of, you know, 45, y'all may not understand, but if you're not doing what the millennials are doing, if you're not on Instagram and It's a numbers game. And so I'm going to be whining and crying a lot and asking you to help me with my numbers. Size matters, family. Size matters. So, yeah, do that for me. Okay, Randy. Yeah, I know that we're good now. And yeah, welcome to everybody. So, also, I am a published author. I have written an autobiography about my 20 years on the Los Angeles Police Department. So you can purchase my autobiography, Black and Blue: The Creation of a Social Advocate. That's one of the ways in which you can support the Sergeant Dorsey Speaks show. Go to my website, SGT, sergeantcheryldorsey.com, or sergeantdorseyspeaks.com, and you could purchase my book, Black and Blue: The Creation of a Social Advocate. If you want an autograph copy, or if you just want to read it and don't care to have it signed, you can purchase my book on Amazon. And you can also support the Sergeant Dorsey Speaks show via my Cash App. Yep, I got one of those too. Sergeant Dorsey Speaks. So there's a couple of ways that you can show me some love. Treat me like a Popeye's chicken sandwich. A small donation of, $5, $6 would be appreciated and helpful. And listen, you could just, put me right in with the gas and the light bill every month, right? Make it a recurring donation to let me know that you really, really, really care. That would be great. Sergeant Dorsey Speaks is my Cash App. Now, let me just, before I get into the couple of stories that I wanted to share with you, let me say this for those of you who may not have seen, haven't heard. The mother of a Tatiana Jefferson over in Fort Worth, Texas, passed away today. Now, she had been ill, the way I understand it from some folks on the ground over there. She was ill, when Tatiana was shot and killed. She was actually in the hospital, I'm told, my understanding. And that's part and parcel as to why Tatiana was over there at the house, kind of, house sitting and looking out for her little nephew. And so the mom was dealing with some real serious health issues. And then, of course, her father passed away not too very long ago as well. Now, I don't know that he was sick. I would imagine, losing his daughter probably made him sick. He may have grieved himself to death. I don't know. I'm not a coroner. But it's so very sad that in less than, 6 months, this young woman is killed and both of her parents pass away for one reason or another. And so, again, as far as I understand, Tatiana was single. She has no children. You know that the Lollipop Gill is also representing that family because that's what they do, right? Every time there's a big, possibility of a civil suit and settlement, here they come doing that little dance that the Lollipop Gill does. And so now, the question is, I'm thinking, well, it'll be the siblings. When you look at relationships, parents, if you're single, parents are first. And then after parents, it would be the siblings because she doesn't have any children. If she had children, then of course children would supersede a parent as far as next of kin goes. But because of Tatiana didn't have any children, I don't believe her siblings are the next in line. And so it's going to be, I'm just imagining all kind of scratching and clawing and, the Lollipop Gill, they already know what's up. Mom and dad are gone, so they're going to be pursuing a civil settlement. And listen, that's not to say that Fort Worth should not give this family something, because, as far as I'm concerned, probably everything that happened with regards to this young woman's death may have played a part. You couldn't prove it, but may have played a part in hastening both of them getting up out of here. The mom had some issues, and I don't even know if she was well enough to attend her daughter's funeral. Imagine that. If you're so sick, the police kill your child, and you are not even well enough to attend the services. And so I don't know that you would ever be able to, attribute all of that. That's just me talking right now. Hey, Black Dynamite, I see the south side of the kingdom is in the building. What's up? Yeah, I'm representing tonight. Black Dynamite, Brown Sugar from Sexy Kitty Skaters. So Michael Ellington, if you come on, dude, yeah, I'm not set tripping as you accused me of earlier today. my Facebook family knows what I'm talking about, subbies. There was a whole big old fight this morning because somebody came for me. And so, yeah, I'm not set tripping, Michael, but I am representing, yeah, my crew today. Sexy Kitty skaters out of New York, New Jersey. Woo woo. Okay, so back to what I was saying about a Tatiana. The siblings will be the next in line. And listen, you cannot replace a loved one with money. I get that. I also do not believe that you should let a municipality off the hook, a city off the hook, and let them just kill your loved one, say, oh, my bad, sorry, and walk away. I think they should be held financially liable, and they will be because they are not playing with that officer over there. Aaron Dean, I believe is his name. You know, he was fired. I don't know if he was fired before or if he resigned before they could actually fire him, but he's gone. And I believe charges have already been filed. I believe murder charges were filed against him. So, you know, they mean to make an example of him in some regards. Now, what kind of a sentence he'll get is a whole nother thing, right? That's up to a jury. But the city is going to pay. They're not going to let this thing go to court. The Lollipop Guild understand that. They don't like to go to court. The Lollipop Guild, you know, they do their work behind the scenes. That's where they get down is, you know, arm wrestling, you know, with the city manager back in some, you know, probably sweaty, grimy room, putting just zeros after big numbers. So they'll settle because the optics and having to sit in front of a jury with regards to what happened in the case of a Tatiana Jefferson, you know, won't sit well with the jury, and they will probably err on the side of caution. A smaller settlement. Smaller doesn't mean small, just smaller than what they might have to pay if it was to go before a jury, and the jury is just disgusted and gives this family buckets and buckets of money, right? So listen, I said earlier, you know, I'm expecting a shit show. We may or may not see it play out publicly. I do have some folks on the ground there that are kind of close to at least the father's side of the family. So I may hear, you know, if I ask a lot, what's going on. And I will be asking because, you know, I'm nosy like that. So, hey, Lawrence, greetings, sir. Greetings, greetings. Hey, Timothy Jones, I appreciate you as well, my friend. Thank you so much for being so supportive. And Denise, what's up? What's up? Yeah, so I sad to hear that her mom passed away, a Tatiana Jefferson, today. But yeah, you know how we get down, family. Whenever there's a death, you know, folks be fighting over wristwatch and washing machines. So, so I could just imagine what's gonna happen with this civil suit. I believe she had 3 siblings. So shoot, party hats for everybody. I'm just saying, that's what I think. If I hear something, I'll let you know. Um, on a personal note, let me just do this. This is kind of for my Cola family, City of LA family. You may be on here with me right now. You may have an opportunity to see this later. And so I am going to just one more again honor my friend, my coworker, my mentor, Earl Paysinger, who passed away just before Christmas. And so we buried him on, I don't know, Monday, Tuesday, I forget what day, but we buried him this week. And it was really, I don't really do retirement parties for LAPD unless it's somebody I'm really, really close to. Um, but it was nice to, if under those circumstances, go and see people that I haven't seen in years and years and years, to see them. And I appreciate for, you know, the civilians who are listening to me who don't know, who may not even care, but I'm gonna say it anyway, what the city of Los Angeles specifically does for one of its own when we pass away. And so LAPD did not disappoint in the case of the first assistant deputy chief, Earl Paysinger. There were 3 police chiefs that he served under who were there. Bill Bratton came from New York. Charlie Beck came back from wherever he is. Where is he? Chicago. And then, of course, the current police chief, Michael Moore, were all in attendance, all spoke, and I believe that their um, sentiments were genuine, sincere, because Earl worked with and under each of them at various times during his 40 years on the Los Angeles Police Department. And so it was just really, it's always impressive. Um, Police funerals are, I would imagine, I've never been to a military funeral, but since LAPD tries to be quasi-military, what they do is very much akin to, I believe, I'm imagining a military funeral. And so that was that. One of the things that I was most appreciative of, I don't want to say excited because that's not the right word, but I did turn into a 12-year-old for about 15 minutes because someone on the program um, who I have not seen since I got out of the police academy. I never saw the man again, Terri Spear. And for those of you that are on Facebook with me, you will see a picture that I took with Terri Spear after the services. Terri Spear was my PT instructor in the police academy. He was my primary PT instructor, and Earl Paysinger was secondary to Terri. The two of them were responsible for 2 hours every day to torment us, to run us through the hills over there uh, in Elysian Park near Dodger Stadium. The OGs know what I'm talking about. Streets that, you know, have hills like Lombard Street in San Francisco, just stupid. And, you know, one of the things about Earl and Terri as well, they were both phenomenal athletes, great runners, and they used to run us like crazy. After they got through, you know, having us do calisthenics for about an hour, hour and a half. And, you know, we're supposed to be spent because we gave it all we had on the PT field. And now we got to go run. And I'm not a runner. I've never been a runner. I was 5'9", 118 pounds. And they looked at me and thought I should be like another Flojo. And I wasn't. And so I was always at the back of the damn squad. We had 3 females at the very back, and I was one of them. So we had nicknamed ourselves the Turtle Squad because I couldn't keep up with the run, but I never stopped because that was a big deal. Don't stop. Terri Spear would be in my ear just yelling. Earl Paysinger would be in my ear just yelling. And so when I saw Terri, like I said, I just resorted to a, you know, recruit candidate again, wide-eyed and bushy-tailed and scared to death of this man. I wasn't afraid of him this week, but I was very much appreciative of all that he had taught me in the 6 months that I was under his command in the police academy, taught me to never give up. You know, I'm feisty and ornery, mostly because of my parents, but, you know, he added to that foundation and made me, you know, who I am today. And so I was just really, really happy to see him having been retired for however long he's been retired, looking good, in good health, seemingly sound mind. And it just really, really was very moving, very touching for me on a personal level. And then as I reflected on Earl and I thought about our years together on the police department, when I first met him on that PT field, the first thing he did when he saw me, because I was only one of 2 Black females in my academy class, and he came up to me and got in my ear and just started yelling at me and asking me if I thought I was Lola Falana, because, you know, I got to be me. And I'm on the PT field with not this kind of makeup, but, you know, I had to have a little color in my cheeks. And so he came running up to me, yelling and screaming at me. And, you know, eventually I think he made me go to the doggone locker room and, you know, take whatever little bit of makeup, eyeliner, mascara off my face because he was having none of that on his PT field. And so, you know, I was like, who is this guy? Does he even have a family? He doesn't seem human. I came to know that he was absolutely human, and what an amazing human being he was. I learned so much from Earl Paysinger. He taught me when I became a supervisor, and writing was one of my responsibilities because I had to do a lot of admin stuff, and he helped me with that and coached and tutored me. And I think I'm such a phenomenal writer, and I'm going to say that because I do put pen to paper quite well because of him. I think, you know, he had a hand in how I present myself. I'm preaching to the choir for my LAPD family. I see you on here. Command presence was a thing that I knew nothing about because you know, I was just a little Catholic school girl who needed a good paying job and decided I'd join LAPD so I could make sure I could take care of my son. Um, and I learned all about that. I learned about, you know, how to comport myself once I got out of the police academy. And so all of that, all of who I am, well, a great portion of who I am, because I spent a significant number of years on the Los Angeles Police Department, is a direct result of a few people: Earl Paysinger, Terri Spear, James Tatro, who I cannot say enough about. Some of them I speak of in my autobiography, and if you purchase my book and read it, you will hear those names. I don't give them nicknames because they were much beloved, and so I don't have nicknames for them. But you will hear some of the stories during my time and just how encouraging and supportive of me they were. And so I have great respect, great admiration, and great appreciation for each and every one of them. And so to that, I will miss my friend Earl Paysinger. And dude, you're forever in my heart. Rest in peace. KMA 367. Okay, now there was a fist fight at the Trump Towers today. I guess the sister wives, AKA the sex slaves. Did you guys see this? They had a big old cat fight. And I guess Azriel Clary, well, she's come to her senses. Jocelyn, not so much, seemingly. So Azriel Clary went over there. Now, today is R. Kelly's, I think, 53rd birthday. She went over there to get something, and there was a lot of movement, a lot of memorabilia and stuff that was being taken out of the Trump Towers. I was surprised that they were still even there, to be honest with you, because I had read long ago that his condo or whatever was paid up, townhome, whatever it is, was paid up through the end of December. I guess somebody has figured out how to keep paying for that, and that's why Jocelyn is still there. Or maybe they're in the process of moving out, and that's what that was all about. I don't know. But Azriel has moved out, according to that Part 2 documentary. If any of you saw it, it's been airing on television. I didn't watch all of it. I caught a little bit of it, but Azriel has come to her senses, is in touch with her family, and trying to branch out on her own. So today, her and Jocelyn got into a big old fight, and Azriel said she was pressing charges. She wanted Jocelyn arrested, and she was. She was booked, I think, on battery, some kind of assault, misdemeanor felony. I'm not sure, but she was arrested and then somehow managed to, you know, make bail and get out. So that happened today. And, you know, I'm not going to promise to keep you apprised of what goes on with that foolishness, because I just don't really have the energy for the sex slaves. But since it happened today, I just thought that I would share that with you. I want to talk a little bit about my position on the Dallas Police Department being removed from that civil suit, because one of my subbies, I want to address you specifically, sir or ma'am, because what my subby asked, you know, they were a little confused because I was talking about why I did not believe, and I still am of that opinion, that the Dallas Police Department is not responsible for what Amber Geiger does when she gets off work, even though she was still in their uniform. I mean, it's theirs because, you know, it's their uniform. I mean, she bought it, right? She was wearing their badge. She had their radio equipment, gun, all of that on. She used their gun. And, you know, civilians seem to think that somehow because she was using a city issued gun, therefore Dallas police is responsible. And I was just trying to explain to some folks that when we get off work, what we do is what we do. Now, if Dallas PD had sent her over there and told her, when you get over there, have a conversation with both of them, and then she went over there and had that conversation and things went sideways like it did, then the Lollipop Guild may have an opportunity to lay some liability on them. I don't know if this is just a situation where they're hoping that Dallas will get tired and just say, how much? How many zeros? Where's my ink pen? Maybe that's what they're hoping for, because if you look at my videos that I put up where I talked about this on YouTube and on Instagram, what the attorney for the family says is really almost embarrassing to me. To me. What he's trying to say to justify. But listen, he's got a job to do, and he's got he's got to earn his keep, right? But I stand by my position that Dallas PD is not responsible for what she does when she gets off work, even though she stayed in her uniform. It's my uniform. I can wear it home if I want to. Y'all gave me the gun. I can carry it. I can carry it wherever I want to, and I did. And if I had been stupid enough when I was on LAPD to use a gun that had been given to me by the LAPD to hurt someone, LAPD is not responsible. I'm not trying to convince you guys of anything, Mr. Subby. I'm just telling you what I believe to be true. And because I believe that to be true does not mean, Mr. Subby, that I am not advocating for families. I still am an advocate for families when I see wrongdoing by police, and that's why I talk the way that I do. But what I'm not going to do is just agree wholesale with something that makes no sense, sir or ma'am. I'm not going to agree with it. And the fact that I don't agree with your position does not then mean that somehow I'm not really for the families anymore. It just means that I know more about police work than you do. And more importantly, it means that I don't need you to agree with me, sir or ma'am. So I just wanted to set that straight. And hey, Michelle, there's a Sister Starlet in the house. I appreciate you for joining me. I just wanted to set that straight and, just speak on that, because at the end of the day, I do believe that, and I said this earlier, silence is agreement. And so I don't want anybody to misconstrue sometime if you say some old crazy shit, and I'm gonna just say it like that to me. I may or may not respond, but please be clear when I tell you, if I don't respond to it, it does not mean that I'm in agreement with your shit. It does not mean that, I'm afraid to clap back or whatever the kids say, right? Yeah. I got a little Shaquisha in me. I try to not be honorary. I try not to let people push my buttons, but every now and again, sometimes you just got to get the people what they want. I understand that. And so I don't have a problem doing that. I just don't, do it a whole lot. So please don't misunderstand and think because I don't say something to you that somehow, what you said stands. A lot of times I just delete the shit, block you, and then I'm done. So you understand when you come back why you can't get on my page or get on my account. It's because I blocked your ass. So that's that. Okay. Let me take a deep breath. Let me look at a couple of comments. Sean, what did you say? Writing reports definitely made me a better writer. Yeah, hands down. Yeah, I know that. I know that. The people that I named earlier, Sean, were very instrumental in making me, who I am. And so listen, I talk about police and I talk about LAPD and other police departments, and I talk about this in my book, so I ain't gonna do a whole lot of it here, but I'll tell you, all 20 years wasn't, bad. There were some instances, certainly, there was some stuff that I had to deal with, when I joined LAPD, when I did, back when dinosaurs roamed the earth, because there wasn't a whole lot of Black women on LAPD who looked like me, and they really wasn't ready for me. So, I think it's important to be fair and balanced and talk about, the good 80% of my career. And then I'm gonna be honest about the bullshit, because, the 20%, it was a thing. And, I want people to understand that, there's a 20%. So if you decide to do this job, I don't want you to lose your mind because, nobody told you about that 20%. See, nobody told me when I joined LAPD when they came and talked to us as young recruits and they were telling us all the stuff we needed to know, nobody told me about the bullshit. Nobody told me about how, you know, I'm going to be in a car with a white boy for 8 hours and he ain't going to want to talk to me. Nobody told me that my partner will be sitting within arm's reach of me and he's not going to say one word to me for 8 hours. I had to figure it out. And once I found it out, I was like, well, shoot, works for me. Don't talk to me and I won't talk to you. I promise you. But everybody's not built that way. And so it would have been nice. And that was part and parcel of why I decided to write my book, in addition to wanting folks to know why Christopher Dorner, you know, did that thing that Christopher Dorner did. Well, let me talk about that too for a minute. I wanted people to understand how he got there, how LAPD will push you, and how LAPD sometimes treats you in a way that makes you want to do a Christopher Dorner. I don't condone it, but I understood, and I wanted people to know, and I wanted people to understand what it was to be me on the LAPD and what I had to go through. And so, you know, now when I talk the way that I do, I have people tell me, you know, I don't know if you understand, you know, who you are, whatever. I am very grounded, but I know exactly who I am. I know exactly, you know, one of my cubs said this, and I like to model myself after him. I think he's wise beyond his years, but this is so true. When I tell you this, don't judge me. Me and my cub, we both believe this to be true. I bring the table to the table. And I usually throw in a MFer. I bring the MFer table to the MFing table. I am the table. I know exactly who I am. And I went through all of what I went through on the LAPD because my God is amazing. And he knew that one day I would be here. He knew what was coming in 2014 with Mike Brown and Eric Garner and Tamir Rice and Ezell Ford and John Crawford and every other name that I could rattle off. Sam DuBose, Floyd Dent, Charles Kinsey, Sandra Bland. I mean, my God knew this, and he knew that he was preparing me back then so that I could come to you today and speak credibly about what it is that police officers do and what it is that police officers shouldn't do. Had I not gone through all of what I went through, and listen, when I was going through it, I was like, okay, enough, uncle. But had I not gone through all of that, I couldn't talk to you about it because listen, there's some shit, and I'm gonna just say it like that today. There's some shit you just can't open up a book and read. You can't find a chapter on what it is to have a white boy partner treat you the way white boys treated me. Ain't no chapter on that. They didn't teach me that in the police academy. I had to figure it out. And so now I can talk about it because I figured it out, because I know it, because I lived it. And what people can't do, while they may not like what I'm saying, is what they cannot do is argue with me about my lived experiences because I lived it. So you can't debate with me about what I lived. I don't care if you agree with it, but you can't debate me about it. And so I just tell you what I know in the hopes of maybe saving somebody else some grief down the road. If you want to be a police officer, I say be a police officer. Change is going to come from the inside, but don't go in there stupid. Don't go in there blind. Don't go in there expecting folks to like you. Go in there expecting them not to like you. I got to the point on LAPD, shoot, if I had a partner, a white boy, nice to me, first thing I want to know is what's wrong with you. I was so used to them treating me foul and filthy. And then I came across some who were really just good, genuine people, who were really there for the right reason, who were doing the right things, who helped me become a good police officer because they were good police officers. And so, again, I say all the time, I could take, in some instances, race out of what we see happening nationally because I think it's officers who are drunk with power, and they could be Black officers. You've seen them. They could be white officers. They could be Hispanic. And, you know, there's a few Asian out there. There ain't that many of them on these police departments, but there's some of them out there that are abusing their authority. And so these are just people who just have not been dealt with appropriately. And that's why I'm so big on accountability. And that's why I'm so big about officers being psychologically evaluated regularly, because you could come on the police department with the right intentions, wanting to do the right thing, and you can wind up working with a partner who convinces you that somehow doing things that are left of center, that violate policy, even though it might be a little minor violation, and then before you know it, you go from, like stealing gum, right? Folks don't start off breaking into houses. They usually start off stealing gum. Small things like being rude to people on a traffic stop, like cursing at somebody when you don't really have a reason to be profane with them in your interactions. And then when you get away with that, the next thing you know, you hitting somebody in the head with a flashlight because there was no accountability, right? Now you're, everybody you arrest winds up getting booked on the 13th floor. My LAPD family know what I'm talking about, right? But everybody you deal with doesn't deserve a Newton turban or a 13th floor booking. So anyway, I talk about all that in my book, so I'm not going to talk about it here. Hey, Denise, thanks. I appreciate that. I really do. Lawrence, you said I'm a tough nail. Yeah, well, I guess. But anyway, so let me see. I'm looking at your comments. Oh, India, thank you again, sis, for joining me and chiming in. Anyway, so I just, I just want to be fair, and I want to be honest about, what's right with police officers, and there's a lot right, and what's wrong with police officers, and sometimes there's a lot wrong. And so I'm not for every police shooting. I can't say every police shooting is good, and I can't say every police shooting is bad. I'm going to look at the tactics. I'm going to look at, based on my training and experience, I'm going to look at whether or not there was an opportunity for the officers to de-escalate, whether maybe an explanation could have de-escalated the situation, because a lot of times people just want to know, when you get pulled over and stopped, you want to know why. When somebody gives you an order, it's human nature to say, well, what did I do? And, sometimes cops in their arrogance feel like they don't have to tell you. And then when they don't tell you, now you're, all caught up in your feelings. And when you get caught up in your feelings with some police, it could get you hurt. It could get you dead. And so that's what I try to prevent. And so, to that end, there was an article here recently, and I talked about this before, but now it's come up again. LAPD Metropolitan Division, Billy Badasses, they're out there falsifying FI cards. So for those of you who don't know, there was an article in the LA Times about LAPD got caught with their pants down again over Metro, falsifying FI cards. And FI is called field interview. So when we stop somebody in patrol and we want to know who you are, we bring out this little tablet that we had, and it's a stack of cards. And we start filling out information, your name, your address, your birth date, information on your car, things that are going to get input into the system down the road. And listen, what they're talking about in this article right here, this ain't nothing new. This has been going on since the beginning of time, probably before I even came on the LAPD. Officers will stop you. And listen, when I worked South Bureau Crash, Operation South Bureau Crash, real crash, not that Rampart crash bullshit y'all know about. When I worked Operation South Bureau Crash under Daryl Francis Gates, I know that there were officers who would stop people who look like me. And, you know how it is. Officers will say, are you on parole or probation? Because they think every black man is on parole or probation, right? Or if they stop you in a particular hood, because you live there. I grew up in the 90s. I was never a 9-0 Crip. But I grew up in the 90s, that neighborhood, that stretch of blocks between 90th Street and 99th Street, right? That's how the gangs, some of them were delineated, was by the numbers, 90s, 90s. If you grew up on 61st, 60th, 67th, you were a 60 because you grew up on one of those streets. So, officers would stop you and they ask you if you are a gang member, and you say no. Well, shit, if you live on 94th like I did, you a 9-0. And so that's been going on from the very beginning. And so now, you know, they did a little audit because LAPD likes to do audits, and they started comparing camcorders with some of the information that these officers were putting on these FI cards, field identification cards, and they're finding that some of the there were some discrepancies. It says more than a dozen Los Angeles police officers within the elite Metropolitan Division are being investigated on suspicion of falsifying information that they gathered during traffic stops. Now, you know, Metro is big on, you know, these pretext stops. In other words, if you don't have any, you know, bumps on your bumper, they got a reason to stop you. They're elephant hunters, Metropolitan Division. They don't respond to radio calls. They're proactive. They're driving around all night with fucking bazookas. I'm sorry, with bazookas looking for elephants. And sometimes, you know, they will, you know, maybe not find the elephant. Maybe they just find a little baby rhinoceros, and then they falsify stuff. And, you know, if you look like a duck and you quack like a duck, I don't know, you could be a chicken, but they're going to make you a duck. And so now, anyway, these officers, they're assigned to what, you know, they call special patrols, Billy Badass. And they've been falsifying these reports. This is a big deal because when you are put into the system as a gang member, or back in the day, a gang affiliate, right? You know any gang members? Well, yeah, my cousin is a 9-0. I mean, I'm not, but I got a cousin. There you go. Check the box. You're a gang affiliate. You may not be a gang member proper, but you're a gang affiliate. That went on all the time. And then once you get in the system as a gang member, mess around and get arrested for anything. That changes sentencing guidelines sometimes. Gang affiliation is a big deal. And so for Metro to just be arbitrarily making people gang members is a problem. So I don't know what Michael Moore is going to do about this, but they're investigating it. Internal Affairs is investigating. Their investigation continues. And yeah, we'll see what happens. Because listen, like I said, they do a lot of pretext stops. And so while I'm talking about the pretext stops, and I know I'm kind of hopping around right now, you know, I was in Compton a couple of nights ago at a council meeting because they were thinking about banning menthol tobacco cigarettes. I put that link up. And thank you, Choo Choo, for recording that off of your television. Choo Choo, I got a question because there was a lot of background noise, and I just want the family to know that that wasn't me. I don't know what you were doing, Choo Choo. I'm just saying, dude, I appreciate you giving me the video, but I don't know what you were doing in the background, sir. I got questions. I may call you and we'll talk about it, but thank you. One of the reasons that I'm opposed to the whole ban on menthol tobacco is because officers could use that as another pretext, another reason to stop you. Imagine some millennial driving down the street with a Newport cigarette hanging out of his mouth and have a Metropolitan Division, one of those elite officers, see him and wonder, where did he get that menthol cigarette from? Because there's a ban on them. It could be a problem. No millennial is going to believe that Newport cigarettes are banned, that Salem cigarettes, Benson and Hedges, Cools are banned. Nobody's going to believe that. They lumped the menthol cigarettes in with this e-vaping. E-vaping is a big deal because a lot of young people have died and they've got flavors in the e-vape cigarettes and the e-cigarettes that are problematic. And that's where the flavored tobacco situation first started. And then within the e-vaping, they dumped menthol cigarettes into the mix. Now, the Compton city attorney was trying to say, hey, we're not criminalizing menthol. My thing is, dude, you could say what you want sitting up on that little desk. But when the sheriffs in Compton actually pull somebody who looked like me and you over, you can't guarantee me, sir, that they're not going to use that as some kind of reason to engage me, you, to put you in the system. Charges might get dropped later by the DA, but you're already in the system. So after deliberating, I'm told that the city attorney was given instruction to redraft the ordinance in Compton. Now, this has already passed in Culver City and a bunch of other places, San Francisco, Oakland, The entire state of New Jersey is trying to ban menthol. So it's a big thing. You guys need to pay attention. I'm going to change subjects real quick and go back to the whole LAPD thing because, I was talking about the funeral and all of that and my book and, people that I saw. And so you guys know, I talk a lot of shit, right? And I was sitting in the row with command staff at the funeral for Paysinger. And because that's what I do. I'm not command staff. I was just a lowly sergeant, but I sat in the row with command staff. I'm sitting in there with bars and stars and yeah. And right in front of me was Sister Girl, Assistant Chief, I believe is her title, Regina Scott. And she turned and she saw me and she's like, oh, hey. And I was like, hey. I don't know if Regina Scott has listened to any of my broadcasts or podcasts because, I've had some not so favorable things to say about what I think she could be and should be doing as a Black woman with that kind of rank on the LAPD. And so I was just, it was funny to me because, I have a very unique look, right? People recognize me from time to time on the street because of this whole, thing with my hair and the color and all of that. So I believe she probably knew who I was, but of course she wasn't going to say anything. She wasn't going to be unprofessional and neither was I, but it was just very interesting. And so I said all that to say that, when I wrote my book, again, I wrote it because I wanted people to understand LAPD and the inner workings and what it looks like, what it feels like to be on that department. And I mentioned Christopher Dorner earlier because in the same row that I was in, the command staff row, I was just two little people over from Tingarides. Tingarides is I think he's a commander now because, when you are willing to fuck people over, I can say it like that, LAPD will reward you. And so Phil Tingarides is now a commander, I believe, and his wife. Phil Tingarides is a white man married to a Black woman. All skin folk ain't kinfolk. I've talked about her. Have a whole chapter in my book devoted to Miss Armada, I think is her name, Tingarides. Yeah. I sat right next to them and it was really kind of, yeah, look at here. I wonder if they too have heard me talk about them. Listen, most folks know who I am on LAPD. Most folks know what I say on LAPD. Some of them are listening to me now. Some of them are friends with me on Facebook. They may or may not agree with what I say. Their agreement too is not required. But it was just very interesting because I'm always curious to know if anybody is bold enough to say anything to me when I'm out at one of these events, because I do have friends on LAPD who tell me that folks call them from time to time and say, what makes her a police expert and why is she on CNN saying this and that and thus and such? But they never say anything to me when they see me. So I just thought it was kind of interesting that I would be within such close proximity to folks who I talk a lot of shit about, and I talk a lot of shit about them. And I stand by everything that I've said, and I'm saying it the way that I'm saying it because I stand by everything that I've said. And, that's that. Now, on to more other stuff. There's a young man back in 2017. He was 15 years old at the time. Damone, I believe is the way they pronounce it. Grimes. Looks like Damon, but I believe they pronounce it Damone Grimes. And he was riding his ATV down the street back August 26, 2017. Now, the ATV wasn't supposed to be on the street. I guess it was illegal. This was in Detroit. And a Michigan State trooper saw him. And so he started chasing this young kid on this ATV, and the kid wouldn't stop. Maybe the kid didn't stop because he was trying to get home, 15 years old. He probably was scared to death, right? This is right after Mike Brown and Eric Garner and John Crawford, Tamir Rice. All that happened in 2014. So this is 2017. This kid doesn't stop. Maybe he's trying to get home to family so somebody, who he feels safe can make sure that he's safe in this traffic stop. So this jackass police, he's a Michigan State trooper. He decided from his car to shoot a taser dart into this 15-year-old kid. And he did. He shot this taser dart into the kid, and the kid crashed his ATV, ran into a truck, and died. Now, this coward, his name is Mark Bessner, Michigan State Trooper Mark Bessner, um, fired this taser. And then, of course, he lied. He tried to lie. Him and his partner, whose name is Ethan Berger, lied and just pretended like, oh, no, he was just going, so fast and lost control of the ATV and hit a truck. Well, there was a sergeant that showed up too, who's in a little bit of hot water because there were taser darts. And, whenever you fire a taser, there's little confetti specks that shoot out of the taser gun. And each one of those little specks is almost like a fingerprint. It identifies the gun that it was shot from. And so there was no way that this wasn't going to be discovered. But, the sergeant, in his efforts to help hide the truth, downloaded the taser information and tried to hide the fact that it had been fired, but they eventually figured it out. And so the family sued. This young man died. The family sued, and the officer who actually fired the taser, Mark Bessner, he was charged and later convicted of involuntary manslaughter and given the higher end range for the prison sentence, which was 5 to 15 years. He could have got something a lot lighter, but I guess the judge decided because what he did was so outrageous and egregious that he was convicted and sentenced to 5 to 15 years in prison. His partner, Trooper Ethan Berger, was also fired in March of 2018 for his role, lying, trying to cover up and hide the facts of the case. And so now it was just resolved, the civil suit with the family, $12 million for this young man, 15-year-old Damon Grimes in Detroit, killed in an ATV accident because an officer foolishly hit him with a taser as he was driving this ATV. So that happened. Okay, I think that's it. I think we're done. I've said everything that I needed to say. I have shared stuff you care about and probably a lot more you don't. But I was trying to decide if I wanted to continue to do this every Thursday or if I want to do it every other Thursday. So I'd kind of like to hear from you guys. Let me know if you, want me to continue to do Sergeant Dorsey Speaks every Thursday or every other Thursday. What do you think? Let me know, because now, I'm here, there, I'm everywhere. I'm like spreading myself like super thin, I almost feel like. But I will continue to come to you on Facebook. I will continue to come to you on YouTube. I will continue to do my podcast, which drops every Tuesday, new content. So if you haven't subscribed to Sergeant Dorsey Speaks on the podcast platform of your choice, please do so. If you haven't listened to this week's installment, it's Thursday. You are 2 days late. You need to go ahead and listen to Sergeant Dorsey Speaks podcast. And then if you are not following me on Instagram, I need you to create an account on Instagram and follow SGT Cheryl Dorsey over there as well. So family, that's it. I will, I'll see you next week unless, there's a reason for me to come back sooner. I am headed to, FYI, I'm headed to Atlanta next week. So my Atlanta family, if there is anyone who hears my voice and sees my face and wants to have a salad with me while I'm in town, I've got some stuff going on, but I will endeavor to get with you. So if you are in Atlanta, I will be in Atlanta on next week, and hit me up, let me know. Until then, family, be good, be safe. Talk to you later.